And welcome back to Sunday Square Off on our special Arizona Author Show. Jenn McKinlay's written more than 40 books. She's a New York Times best-selling author, but her best story might be how she got there over the course of 20 years of hard work. Here are just a few of those books, all fit into specific genres: rom-coms aimed at a female audience under the label of Bluff Point Romance, and mysteries. Those labels are a library lover's mystery and a cupcake bakery mystery. Those mysteries, the last set, are set here in Arizona. They are entertaining, well-crafted books by author Jenn McKinlay and great reads. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, full disclosure, as I often do, you work with my wife at the Phoenix Public Library downtown, Burton Bar, right?
I did many years ago.
Many years ago. So that's exactly how I came to know you and your stuff. My wife raves about it, and my wife is never wrong, right, honey?
Never.
Never wrong. So you've always wanted to be a writer.
Yes.
Pretty much?
Yes.
Tell us about the start and what you thought that life was going to be like.
Oh, wow, the start. Okay. I am the youngest in my family. And when I was a kid, I found my mom's portable typewriter. And I'm also a candy freak. So I started writing my own newspaper, ratting out all my siblings. And I would charge her 25 cents. So that's when I started writing, technically.
Technically, so this goes way back.
Way back.
Okay, then reality hits. You go to college.
I did.
And you want to do this for real. You want to make money doing this.
I think somewhere around my teen years, the writing thing as an occupation kicked in.
And so you went to New York, moved to New York? Did that thing?
I was in Connecticut.
All stayed at home.
Yeah.
So what did you start writing? What was the first book you tried to sell?
Oh, wow. Well, I did that thing where I thought romance was easy because I'd seen the movie Romancing the Stone. And it was the first time I ever saw an employed author, on the big screen. And it occurred to me, oh, this is a job. And I was a book nerd and I loved books. So I thought, that's what I want to do. Of course, it was Kathleen Turner, Sweet Apartment in New York. Why wouldn't I want this? So I started writing. And so I started writing really bad romances. Really bad. But I eventually did sell a few.
And you got a job with Harlequin.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I wrote for one line of theirs that was romantic comedy, and that line failed. And then I wrote for another line, and that line failed. And then I wrote for another line, and that line failed. And so they fired me.
So you're the line killer.
Pretty much.
The line killer. But where does that come from, romantic comedy? Why romantic comedy as opposed to just straight romance?
I think everything I do is comedy because I am a Gen X kid, latchkey kid, and I was pretty much raised after school by Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, The Monkees, so I can't have a problem that lasts more than 22 and a half minutes because my coping skills give out. So I think comedy was it's how I learned how to cope with everything.
So you didn't stop after those Harlequin lines disappeared. You kept going, and I think what you told me, you got through a kind of a back door?
I did. My husband said, why don't you write a mystery? Because you love mysteries, you've always wanted to write a mystery, go for it. And here's your window. So I said, okay. And I started writing mysteries, and I wasn't having much success, but I did get an agent out of my endless submissions. And so she liked my voice, and then she had a good relationship with Penguin, and then they came to her and said, okay, we have a series that we would like somebody to write. We think Jenn might fit, and I think it's mostly because I badgered them into, hiring me. And it was about decoupage.
Decoupage, which is a word most people can't define, including me.
Right, and they said, do you know what that is? And I said, sure. And then I ran to work at the library and looked it up, and then I was like, oh, I've got this.
So what is it?
Okay, I'd actually done decoupage and didn't know it because my son was having a little tiff with his dad, and we had this beautiful end table, and my son wrote, I hat dad.
I hat dad
in permanent marker. So I cut out a picture and I glued it on and I shellacked over it. That's decoupage.
That's decoupage. Now all this time you're working.
Yes, part-time.
At least part-time, and writing.
And raising
children.
Hooligans, yes.
And this is happening over the course of several years.
Yes, it took many years.
Many years.
Harlequin, my last the book published with them, I was in my mid-30s, and I didn't sell my first mystery or sign on for this offer from the publisher till I was almost 40. So it was a good 5-year dry spell.
Wow, that's a haul.
Yeah.
But you stuck with it.
Well, the writer for hire thing, it's when the publisher comes to you and says, we have an idea, will you write it? They keep the copyright, but you get to write the books. And I jumped on it because I thought, this is my backdoor entry into publishing. And as soon as I signed that contract, I started just churning up more ideas. So it was cupcakes and libraries in London, and then when mysteries looked dicey, it was like, okay, what else can I do? And
Okay, we're going to talk about that when we come back. More with Jenn McKinlay, advice for authors, and does she have that great American novel waiting to be written? Stay with us. And welcome back to Sunday Square Off and our Arizona Author Show. I'm talking with Jenn McKinlay, New York Times best-selling author. She's written more than 40 books. When we ended the last segment, we hit your dry spell. You were coming out of the dry spell. I mean, was that a time, was there ever a time when you thought, you know what, maybe this just isn't going to work?
No.
Now, why not?
Because by the time I had finally published, I had a rejection file that was about 1 inch thick, and I was going to prove everyone wrong. So I just kept going. I had a new idea and a new idea and another idea. I wasn't going to quit.
And here you are today. You've got these genre books. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Absolutely.
It's 3 different kind of categories. And is this something that just now becomes, I don't want to use this term, but it kind of, not production line, but there's a demand to produce these every certain number of months?
I'm sure there are some people who look at my books that way. I've had a couple of tough reviews. But they're not, because for me, I try to write the best book every book. That's how you keep moving, and that's why your publisher buys you, and that's why your readers love you, because you throw them the next unexpected book, hopefully. That's the goal. So for me, when I was starting writing, I knew there was 2 paths. One is you write that amazing bestseller. The other is that you rack up real estate so that people can't escape you. Knowing that writing that main bestseller, the odds were not great, I went with the real estate. And that's why I write series, that's why I try to keep them going. I try to put the couple together, take them apart, And
there's a great community of readers who follow you.
Yes.
Is here and around the country.
I have the best readers in the world.
How do you communicate with them? How do you just keep that relationship going?
I am on all the social media. And you can always, I send out a newsletter every couple of months. I do a Wednesday giveaway because I try, when you're an author, they give you 40 copies of your book, when it comes to publish. I write 4 books a year. I would literally be buried alive. So I have like a Wednesday. Every Wednesday I kind of throw books out there, it's very random. Yeah. But it's a way to connect to readers.
And so you pointed out there are authors who write that great American novel and are never heard from again. And you see their book on the remainder shelves and go, well, whatever happened to?
Yeah.
Have you totally set that aside? Do you have any desire to do that? Or are you just happy where you are right now?
I'm never happy. I'm happy. I'm thrilled that this is my life. But there's always another story, and as a writer, and I've traveled with writers, say we do a road trip to the Grand Canyon. If we're all mystery writers, all of us are thinking how we're going to off somebody at the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's a bizarre club to be in. So the ideas will never shut off. They're just always going.
What do you wish you knew when you were, say, 25 that you know now?
That it really is the journey, that the journey never ends, that if you keep working at your dream every single day, it is totally possible. It absolutely will happen, but you can't quit.
And you are a great example of that. Jenn McKinlay, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You can reach me anytime with your comments.